Anderson Cooper, AC 360, CNN weeknights 10 Eastern.
An exclusive look inside the drug tunnel recently discovered between the U.S.-Mexico border. It was discovered on Thanksgiving, but just opened up for us by authorities on both sides of the border this evening. We've been around here before, showing you some incredibly sophisticated tunnels, but nothing quite like the one we are about to show you. For one thing, it has its own rail network. For another, when the San Diego Joint Tunnel Task Force located it, they also nabbed 8 people and more than 20 tons. That's 20 tons of pot. There are 2 entrances here in Otay Mesa in 2 warehouses, but we entered the tunnel as the drug traffickers did on the Mexican side of the border in a nondescript house on a quiet residential street. From the outside, it looks like just an ordinary 2-story house in a residential neighborhood here in Tijuana. Across the street, a couple hundred yards away, is the U.S.-Mexico border. On the U.S. side, San Diego and Otay Mesa. As soon as you enter the house, you enter into the kitchen, and you realize nothing is really what it seems. This is not just a normal residential kitchen. First of all, there's big pylons of wood here that would be used to shore up the tunnel below. But in 2 of the rooms, right off the kitchen, you find these sandbags, hundreds of them. It's 2 rooms piled floor to ceiling, sandbags filled with dirt and soil. This is the overflow soil that was dug out of the tunnel. The traffickers would be concerned about people in the neighborhood seeing them removing soil from the house. It's about 80 or 90 feet from the kitchen, from the entrance, down this ladder to the actual entrance to the tunnel. What's remarkable about this tunnel, according to authorities, is check out the walls. They've put cinder block to shore up the walls here. So they've really invested a lot of time and a lot of money, perhaps even more than $1 million, maybe even $2 million in order to build this tunnel. It might have taken them as much of a year. But I've never seen, I've been in 2 of these tunnels now, 2 of the sophisticated tunnels over the last couple of years. I've never seen cinder block walls like this used to actually shore up any part of the tunnel. And then the other thing that's fascinating about this tunnel is not only is there some electricity, so there's actually lighting through. That we've seen in a number of very sophisticated tunnels, and you can see the electrical cables that are running through. Some tunnels sometimes have even phone systems, telephones. This one doesn't have a telephone. But what this does have, which, again, I've never seen before, and authorities say is another sign of just how sophisticated this is, are these carts. They actually have put in an entire rail system with these push carts that you could load drugs on and just push down the rails. There's one cart here, and there's one already further down. Let's go in. So there's actually, I didn't realize that there's 3 carts here. This is the second one. And you can see again, they really spent a lot of time shoring up these walls. Usually you'll still see the actual stone wall or the dirt wall of the tunnel with just a few pieces of wood. But this is a solid wall of wood that they've created, and basically it's as far as the eye can see down. That's always a fear when the drug traffickers are digging these tunnels, that the tunnels may actually collapse on them. The tunnel is about a half-mile long. It's about the size of 7 football fields. And it was built, authorities believe, by members of the Sinaloa cartel. The Sinaloa cartel is also believed to be behind one of the other very sophisticated drug tunnels that was found in early November. So this is actually the second sophisticated tunnel that they found, both of which they believe were built by the Sinaloa cartel, which is a cartel that traditionally didn't operate in Tijuana, but has really moved into Tijuana and taken over part of the drug operations in the city. U.S. authorities believe that as they started to get underneath U.S. territory, started to get closer to their destination, perhaps they grew more impatient, didn't want to make a lot of noise, so they didn't spend a lot of time shoring up the sides of these walls. And about half a mile from where the tunnel began, in that house in Mexico, we come to just about the end of the tunnel here. We're still about 70 feet below ground at this point. But this is a large room that was created, that they carved out of the earth. You can see all the jackhammer markings here. It's still only maybe this is about 4 feet tall. This is the widest part of the tunnel that we've seen. It's about 15 feet wide. Found a lot of equipment here. There's an old hoe. Here's a drill that was used by the traffickers. All part of the equipment, all these sandbags, of course, empty sandbags which they would use, fill up with soil, and then cart the soil back to the Mexico side. But for U.S. authorities, of most interest, what they found in this large room was 3 tons of marijuana found in this room as well as in bundles a little bit further up. The tunnel begins to move upward toward the surface in these very large steps that have been just basically hewn out of the rock and soil. It's a very steep climb, climbing about 70 feet from that big room downstairs to an area where probably about now 10 feet or so away from the street level, and it just goes straight up. There's actually an area where you can stand up for the first time, fully upright, and if you look right up here, that's actually the bottom of a sidewalk right outside this warehouse in San Diego. So we're very close now to the surface, to the ground. And then this is the hole, the concrete flooring, and I'll show you where we are. This is where the tunnel emerges on the U.S. side. This is a warehouse in Otay Mesa. When they discovered this tunnel, it was just covered, the hole was covered with this piece of sheetrock, and there were these pallets filled with fruits and oranges and stuff, just in case somebody came by to see if this was a legitimate warehouse. It's not much of a cover, but it's amazing when you drive by this warehouse, you'd never know that this is the place where one of the most sophisticated drug tunnels they found emerges.